Hola clase. Today we're going to talk about subject pronouns in English and in Spanish so that we can compare the two. So make sure that you have your subject pronouns note guide available and that you fill it in as we go through the PowerPoint together. So pronouns are used to replace nouns in sentences. You've already learned that in English. A personal pronoun is associated with a particular person in grammar. Personal pronouns provide the following information. 1, the person who is speaking. 2, the number, plural or singular, meaning is it one person or more than one person. And finally, the gender, is it a female or a male? So look at our example in English here. It says, Caroline is a very good student. The person who is speaking in this sentence is Caroline. The number of people speaking is 1. We see that Caroline is one person. And we also know the gender, she is a girl. Okay, so if we want to use a pronoun to replace her, we would use she in English. She is a very good student. When a personal pronoun takes the place of a noun as the subject of a sentence, it is both a personal pronoun and a subject pronoun. So let's look at the second bullet point, which is very important because you're going to fill this out on your note guide in just a second. But it tells us a subject pronoun is a word used to replace a common or proper noun as the subject in a sentence. So just like on the previous slide, look at our example sentences. Caroline is a very good student. Caroline is our subject. But if we want to use a pronoun to replace Caroline, so we don't have to say her name every time, we would use she to replace Caroline. She is a very good student. So at this time, please pause the video and fill out part A of your note guide where it asks you to define what a subject pronoun is, which is bullet point number 2, and also write down the 2 example sentences. And notice on the note guide, it asks you to circle the subject in both. So you will circle Caroline in the first sentence and she in the second. Please pause the video. Okay, so for part B, it tells us on our note guide to fill in the chart below by writing what each subject pronoun means in English and include any details given. So before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and go through the chart and explain what's happening, and then I'll ask you to pause the video and fill the chart in on your note guide. Okay, so let's look here at the left side. We have singular, meaning that the person performing the action in the sentence is only one person, and then we have the plural side, which means that there's more than one person performing the action in the sentence, and the plural is on the right. So let's go back to the left. Notice that the word yo in Spanish means I in English. The word tú in Spanish means you, and it's an informal you. Usted also means you, but it's formal. And notice here we can spell it out, or you can see it abbreviated UD period. You will see it that way, and you can write it that way if you like. He in Spanish is él. Notice there is an accent mark over the E. That's very important that that be there. And finally, on the left side, the singular side, ella is she. Okay, so let's look at the plural side. Nosotros is the word that we would use if we want to say we. This is a group of males or mixed males and females. Nosotras is if I want to say we, and it's all females. Okay, and we'll notice here that nosotros ends in os. The O in Spanish is indicative of masculine, and then nosotras ends in as, and the A in Spanish is indicative of feminine. Okay, so we notice that nosotros is either all males or mixed males and females. If there's even one male in the group, you must go masculine. Okay, now let's look at vosotros. Vosotros is you plural. So for example, if you're talking to a group of people and you want to say you guys or you all, okay, this is either male or mixed, male and female, and it is only used in Spain to say you plural, okay? Vosotras is the same, it's just female. So you plural, so if you want to say you guys or you all, and you're talking to a group of all girls, and remember, only in Spain. And then our last group has ustedes, which again, notice you can abbreviate UDS period. You'll see it written this way, and you can write it this way as well. This is a you plural, so if you're talking to a group of people, and this is specific to Latin America, whereas vosotros was specific in Spain. Okay, we will practice ustedes and use ustedes in class. Vosotros, not so much. Okay, and then finally we have ellos and ellas. Ellos and ellas both mean they. But notice that ellos is used if you're talking about a group of boys or a group of boys and girls. And ellas is used if you're talking about a group of all girls. All right, so at this time, I need you to pause the video so you can fill in the chart. Be careful and make sure you include any details given. So for example, under the singular side, you'll write next to yo, I, which is easy. There's no detail there. But next to to, you need to write you informal. So please include all of those details. That's very important. Okay, so let's talk about first, second, and third person. So the first person pronoun represents the person speaking. A first person subject pronoun in Spanish would be yo, nosotros, and nosotras. Go ahead and pause the video as we go through so that you can mark these down. Notice part C on your note guide asks you to write the 3 first person pronouns. Okay, second person pronouns represent the person being spoken to. Notice that there are a total of 5 of these. And so if you're talking to someone, you would say you. Notice we have tú, vosotros, vosotras. Remember, those are used in Spain. Usted and ustedes. Remember, ustedes is used in Latin America. So pause the video. And for part C under second person pronouns, make sure you write those 5 Spanish pronouns down. Third person pronouns represent the person being spoken of or about. Okay? So third person subject pronouns in Spanish are él, don't forget that accent mark, ella, ellos, and ellas. Please mark those 4 pronouns down on your note guide under third person pronouns. Pause the video. Okay, so for part D on your note guide, it asks you to list the subject pronouns in Spanish you need to use to talk to or about people. So first, we'll start with when you want to talk to people. It says use a subject pronoun that means you anytime you wish to talk to a person or group of people. List all subject pronouns below that mean you, both singular and plural. So turn your note guide over. We're going to do the first 2. All right, the PowerPoint says use to, which is you, singular and formal, to talk to a friend, a family member, or someone younger. So on your note guide, next to number 1, go ahead and write to, and that means you, singular, formal. Use usted, you, singular, formal, to talk to someone you don't know, someone older, or someone you need to show respect to. So for number 2 on your note guide, write that usted means you, and it's singular, formal. Okay, so both of these are examples of when you're talking to someone, you want to say you. To would be used as informal or familiar, and usted is formal. Okay, we have the last 3. If you want to talk to someone, it says use vosotros, which means you, plural in Spain, and you use that to talk to a group of people who are all male or mixed male and female. The 4th one is vosotras, which means you, plural in Spain, and you use that to talk to a group of people who are all female. So you're going to write down on your note guide, vosotros, you, plural in Spain, vosotras, you, plural in Spain, and number 5 is ustedes. You're going to use ustedes, which means you, plural in Latin America, to talk to a group of people. All right, so make sure that 1 through 5, the pronouns you would use when you want to talk to someone or a group of people, make sure those are filled out. Okay, the next part says that all other subject pronouns are used to talk about a person or group of people. List all subject pronouns below that fall into this group. We have 7 total. Our first slide here has 3. It says use yo, which means I, when you were talking about yourself. Use él, with an accent over the E, which means he, when you are talking about a male. And use ella, which means she, when you are talking about a female. So pause the video and fill those 3 in. Make sure you put what it means as well. So yo, I, él, he, and ella, she. Okay, the last 4 here. Use nosotros, which means we, when you're talking about yourself and another person or persons, which are all males or a mixed group of males and females. Use nosotras, which means we, when you're talking about yourself, if you are female and a group of all females. Okay, so that's different from nosotros. If there's one boy in the group, you have to use nosotros. Okay, 6 and 7 would be ellos and ellas. Those both mean they. And you use them when you're talking about a group of all males or mixed group of males and females with ellos, and ellas when talking about a group of all females. Please pause the video and mark down nosotros, nosotras, ellos and ellas, and what those mean, we and they. All right, practiquemos means let's practice. Write the answers for the 10 practice problems for the video. All right, so it says, what subject pronouns in Spanish would you use? Okay, so you're going to fill in, you're going to pause this in just a minute, and you're going to fill in your answers for the 10 problems below. So which pronoun in Spanish would you use to talk to a classmate? Let's do this one together first, okay? So you're talking to a classmate. Remember, when you talk to someone, you have to use some form of the word you. So if you look at the front of your note guide on your chart, look and see which ones mean you, and choose the one that would make sense when you're talking to one person, and it is an informal conversation. All right, the correct answer for that one would be tú. Don't forget the accent over the U. Now I'd like you to read through 2 through 10, pause the video, fill out the answers that you can come up with best by using the chart on the front side of your note guide, and then we'll go through those answers together. Okay, so let's go through and check answers. We did the first one together. So numero dos says to talk about your male teammates. Okay, if you're talking about a group of all boys, you would say they, and they is ellos. Numero tres, to talk to your principal. If you're talking to someone, you must use some form of the word you. And because the principal is one person that you need to be formal with, you would use usted. Numero cuatro, to talk about your female cousins. If you're talking about someone, you want to use either they or we, okay? And if it's all a group of girls and you're saying, my cousins, they are nice, you would use ellas, okay? To talk about yourself, and if you are female, and Maria, okay? Anytime you talk about yourself and another person or other people, you must use a form of we. And notice for numero cinco, we're talking about 2 females, so we would say nosotras. Numero seis says to talk to a group of children in Latin America. Okay, so if you're talking to a group, you must use some form of you. And because it's in Latin America and it's a group, you would use ustedes. Numero siete, to talk about yourself. Anytime you talk about yourself in Spanish, you use yo, because that means I. Ocho, to talk about a girl in class. Okay, so you're talking about a girl. So let's say her name is Caroline, for example. You would use she to replace. So therefore, you would use ella in Spanish. Numero nueve, to talk to a group of male and female students in Spain. So remember, when you talk to a group of anyone, you use you, all, or you guys. And in Spain, that would be vosotros, because it's mixed male and female. And finally, numero diez says to talk about yourself if you are male and a boy named Martin. So remember, anytime you talk about yourself and someone else or a group of people that you are included in, you would use we. And nosotros is used here because these are both male. Okay, so write any questions you may have on your note guide and make sure you ask them as soon as class begins, okay, before the quiz. There will be a 5-point mini quiz the next day at the very beginning of class. And please take the initiative to watch the video more than once in order to fully and completely understand the content covered in the video and or to help clear up any confusion. Notice that part F on your note guide asks that you write down any questions you may have after watching the video. Adios!